September 2nd, 1945. Japan surrenders aboard the USS Missouri.
A ship built at the Brooklyn Navy Yard.
With 300 tons of asbestos insulation. The war is over. The emergency shipbuilding program should wind down. Asbestos production should decline.
Should.
Here's what actually happened. U.S. asbestos consumption in 1945, 343,000 tons. Consumption in 1955, 10 years later, 709,000 tons.
Wait, that's...
A 107% increase in peacetime.
How is that possible?
40 million homes. That's how.
The housing boom.
Today, on Asbestos, a conspiracy 4,500 years in the making.
Episode 28, Wartime Production, Peacetime Deaths.
The 15 years when everything changed?
And nothing changed. This episode of Asbestos, a conspiracy 4,500 years in the making, is brought to you by Danziger and Diano, a nationwide mesothelioma law firm. For over 30 years, they've helped families understand what happened and what comes next. If you or someone you love is facing a mesothelioma diagnosis, visit dandell.com. That's DANDELL.com. Now, what were the companies doing while the war wound down?
Doubling down. March 1947, the Asbestos Textile Institute holds a vote.
On what?
Whether to commission an epidemiological study on lung cancer.
And?
6-2 against.
They voted against studying whether their product caused cancer?
And they wrote down why. Quote, "This would stir up a hornet's nest and put the whole industry under suspicion."
Stir up a hornet's nest.
This is 12 years after Sumner Simpson's letter. The less said about asbestos, the better off we are.
Same strategy.
Same companies, same strategy. And they weren't done.
There's more?
The Saranac Laboratory studies. Industry sponsors had been funding research there for years. In January 1947, they met and agreed, quote, there would be no publication of research without the group's consent.
They controlled the science.
Publications would not include, and this is their language, any objectionable material.
Define objectionable.
Any relation between asbestos and cancer.
So they funded research specifically so they could suppress it.
January 1951, the sanitized report comes out. Every cancer reference removed.
That's not plausible deniability, that's a strategy.
It gets worse. 1957, the Quebec Asbestos Mining Association funds a study through the Industrial Hygiene Foundation. Researchers Daniel Braun and T. David Truan.
Okay.
The private report to the Mining Association says, quote, the results suggest that a miner who develops asbestosis does have a greater likelihood of developing lung cancer.
They found the connection.
The published version, that finding was deleted.
Deleted.
The journal editor Herbert Stockinger wrote that he was in, quote, particularly pleased to learn the main conclusion was against the association of lung cancer with asbestosis.
Wait, he was pleased by the opposite of what the research showed?
Dr. Rutherford Johnstone's textbook of 1960 cites Braun Truan as evidence that asbestosis does not predispose to lung cancer.
A textbook teaching the fraudulent version.
Now here's the contrast. 1955, Richard Dahl publishes in the British Journal of Industrial Medicine. His conclusion? The evidence convincingly demonstrated so substantial an excess of lung cancer in heavily exposed long-term asbestos workers as to overcome honest doubt.
The British knew.
Dahl knew. And despite, quote, determined attempts to dissuade them, Dahl and the journal editor published anyway.
And the U.S. response?
Silence. Delay. Legislation to control lung cancer specifically had to wait 20 years.
20 years.
20 years.
So while they were suppressing the science,
they were expanding the market. Let's talk about the housing boom.
Go on.
1945, 5 million home shortage, 8 million veterans using the GI Bill. Home ownership rates, 43% in 1940, 62% by 1960.
Everyone's buying houses.
40 million homes built between 1945 and 1975. and every one of them contained asbestos.
Where?
Everywhere. Floor tiles, 2 to 7% asbestos in the tile, 40 to 70% in the backing.
The backing?
Joint compound, 3 to 6%, standard. Popcorn ceilings, 1 to 10%. Roofing, siding, pipe insulation up to 100%.
That's every room.
Almost all drywall sheets, joint compounds, surfacing textures, and tapes contained asbestos additives. That's documented for 1940 to 1980 construction.
40 years.
Let's make this concrete. Levittown, New York, 1947 to 1951, 17,447 homes.
The symbol of the American dream.
Every one of those homes came with asbestos siding.
Okay.
Asbestos roofing,
Right.
9x9 floor tiles, which by the rule of nines are 99% likely to contain asbestos.
So literally everywhere.
The marketing called it fireproof. Quote, asbestos was absolutely fireproof, didn't rot, didn't decay.
They weren't lying about that.
No, they just didn't mention it would kill you 30 years later.
So every GI Bill house.
By 1958, asbestos was used about 3,000 applications. That number comes from the Quebec Asbestos Information Service. They called asbestos the magic mineral.
3,000 applications.
Some of them are surprising, like Kent cigarette filters.
Cigarette filters?
No cap. 1952 to 1956, 30% crocidolite asbestos, the most dangerous kind. 10 milligrams per filter. The marketing slogan, greatest health protection in history.
Asbestos in cigarettes to protect your health? Wait, did you just say no cap?
Uh-huh. And fake snow. Pure white fireproof snow used in films. The Wizard of Oz, the poppy field scene, that snow was chrysotile asbestos.
Dorothy skipping through asbestos.
The Tin Man and Scarecrow were probably fine. Not so sure about the lion, all skipping through asbestos. Meanwhile, 4.5 million shipyard workers went home.
They went home.
8 million veterans used the GI Bill. Some went to college, some bought houses, those 40 million homes. Some opened businesses.
Normal lives.
Home ownership jumped from 43% to 62%. These weren't rich people, working-class families buying their first homes.
Houses full of asbestos.
And here's something people forget. The shipyards didn't close when the war ended.
They didn't?
Brooklyn Navy Yard kept building ships until June 30th, 1966.
21 years after the war.
USS Saratoga, aircraft carrier, 56,000 tons, built 1952 to 1956. USS Constellation, 1957 to 1961. Last ship, USS Duluth, launched August 5th, 1965.
So workers were still being exposed.
9,500 workers at Brooklyn when it closed.
In 1966.
In 1966. And Charleston Naval Shipyard.
When did Charleston close?
April 1st, 1996.
1996? It outlasted the Grateful Dead?
51 years after the war ended. Workers exposed in the 1980s, well after everyone knew about cancer, won't develop mesothelioma until 2020, 2030, 2040.
The clock is still ticking.
Let me show you what a normal life looked like. James Cook, boatswain's mate on the USS Wisconsin, built at Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. After the Pacific, his words, nothing but fightin', 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 he came home to Norfolk.
What did he do?
Spent 39 years at Burchard Dairy. Rose to distribution manager. At 94, he found a dollar yard sale model of the Wisconsin and could still point to where his gun station was on the fantail.
Did he get sick?
The article doesn't say. That's the thing about these stories. Most of them don't have endings, or the endings weren't recorded.
They just disappear into the statistics.
4.5 million workers, each one with a story. Most of those stories end in a doctor's office somewhere 30 years later with no connection to the shipyard.
James Cook, the workers at Brooklyn, The families in Levittown, they had no idea what was coming, but some families today do know, and they're facing decisions right now. If you've been diagnosed with mesothelioma or you're caring for someone who has, Danziger and Diano can help you understand your options. Over 30 years of experience, nearly $2 billion in recoveries. Dandel.com. That's DANDELL.com. So here's a question. Where were the unions?
That's the piece nobody talks about.
4.5 million workers. They had unions.
They had unions, but here's what happened after the war. Labor historians call it the post-war accord.
Which was?
Quote, labor unions ceded control over the workplace to management in exchange for better wages, shorter hours, improved benefits, and health insurance.
They traded safety for wages.
If the workplace was to be under management control, then safety was its responsibility as well. That's from Rosner and Markowitz in the American Journal of Public Health.
So the union stopped fighting for working conditions.
They didn't have a choice. 1947, the same year as that ATI vote, Congress passed Taft-Hartley.
Which did what?
Outlawed closed shops, banned solidarity and wildcat strikes, required union officers to sign non-communist affidavits, allowed states to pass right-to-work laws.
And if you didn't sign the affidavit?
You lost your position. 1949 and 1950, the CIO expelled 11 unions, about 1 million members, 1/3 of CIO membership.
The left-led unions.
The left-led unions, which had been the most militant on workplace conditions.
So they were fighting for survival.
They were fighting for survival. Taft-Hartley, the communist purges, right-to-work laws spreading state by state.
And workplace safety?
Ceded to management, that was the deal.
The deal that killed them.
The deal that killed them. And here's the other thing. The science that did exist, Dahl's 1955 paper, was published in Britain, not widely circulated to American unions.
And the industry?
Industry policy was not to tell sick workers the nature of their health problems. In the 1940s and 1950s, the asbestos industry had evidence that 20% of its workforce had developed asbestos disease. Corporate policy? Don't tell them.
20%.
20% knew. The workers didn't.
The perfect information gap.
Which brings us to the latency clock.
How long until the first cases?
Latency period for mesothelioma, 20 to 60 years. Median, 32 to 38 years.
So if you were exposed in 1943...
First symptoms, 1963 to 2003. Peak, 1975 to 1981.
And the executives who suppressed the 1947 study?
Retired, or dead.
By the time the cases showed up.
Let me show you how the math works. A worker exposed at Brooklyn in 1943. He's 25.
Okay.
Add 30 years, it's 1973. He's 55, he's a grandfather, he's thinking about retirement.
And then the cough starts.
And there's no way, no possible way to connect that cough to a pipe he insulated 30 years ago.
Even if he remembered the dust.
Even if he remembered the dust, which most of them didn't. It was just work.
And the documents?
Filed in corporate archives, sealed in court records, buried until litigation forces them into the open, which won't happen for another decade.
The perfect crime.
30-year delay. Witnesses dead, evidence buried, and the victim has no idea who to blame.
If you're listening to this and thinking about someone you knew, a grandfather, a father, a husband who worked the shipyards, there may still be options.
The evidence is there. The paper trail is documented, and there's still time to act.
Anna Jackson is Director of Patient Support at Danziger and Diano. She's been helping families for nearly 15 years, and she lost her own husband to cancer. She knows what it's like.
Paul Danziger has spent over 30 years in mesothelioma litigation. The firm has recovered nearly $2 billion for families affected by asbestos.
Trust funds, VA benefits, lawsuit settlements. If you're facing this, you don't have to face it alone.
Dandel.com.
That's DANDELL.com. Free consultation, nationwide representation.
So here's where we are. By 1960, the industry has suppressed research for 30 years.
Since Simpson's letter in 1935.
They've manipulated studies, the Braun-Truan fraud, to argue asbestos doesn't cause cancer.
While their own data showed 20% of workers had lung damage.
They voted down epidemiological studies because it would stir up a hornet's nest.
ATI 1947.
And they've expanded the market into 40 million American homes.
Floor tiles, joint compound, popcorn ceilings.
Meanwhile, 4.5 million shipyard workers have gone home. They're living normal lives. They're coaching Little League, buying houses, building businesses.
With asbestos.
With asbestos. Every wall, every floor, every ceiling.
The clock is ticking.
The clock is ticking.
When does it strike?
Next time, December 1960, J.C. Wagner publishes in the British Journal of Industrial Medicine, mesothelioma, a cancer no one knew existed.
They knew it existed.
Now everyone else would too.
Episode 29, The Shipyard Generation.
The Shipyard Generation.
Okay, but the Wizard of Oz thing?
I know.
Dorothy is skipping through a field of asbestos snow?
Chrysotile, specifically.
And the Kent cigarette filters.
Greatest health protection in history.
Asbestos in cigarettes to protect your health.
You can't make this up.
The 94-year-old with a model ship got me.
James Cook still knew where his gun station was.
39 years at a dairy, and we don't even know if he got sick.
That's the part that sticks. The stories without endings.
4.5 million stories.
Most of them filed under natural causes.
The magic mineral.
The magic mineral.